everybody, my name is Chris, and today we're doing the suits from Spider-Man Miles Morales. I liked this game when I got it, back when I got the PS5. It was actually the first PS5 game I owned, so it's kind of like a weird nostalgia thing that's almost been a year since it came out, and it was the first PS5 game I actually completely beat, so it was nice. There's some glitches here and there, but overall not a bad time. I like Miles as a character, and I quite liked his outfits. There aren't as many as there were in the original Spider-Man game, at least I don't think there were, but what's here is not bad at all. So let's get to the suits. The worst suit in the game is the strike suit. Now, I quite like the idea what they're going for, you know, black and red is Miles' main color palette as we'll see going forward, but this bright yellow on the cuffs and the fingers and even the shoes doesn't really work for Miles all the time. Like, I get what they're going for, but it's just so big and bulky and kind of hideous that it reminds me of Cheetos in a way, which isn't a bad thing, it's just all I can think of to describe how I'm looking at this, and it's just not my favorite, you know? Next up is the Great Responsibility suit, and this just looks like a classic Spider-Man suit, like what Peter would use as like a baseline for his other suits, just for Miles. And I get the point of it is supposed to be like a, you know, he's in Peter's shadow kind of thing, and that's the point, and it looks kind of low grade, like he's still wearing tennis shoes for fuck's sake. So I get that, but that doesn't excuse its shittiness. It still looks awful and stupid. Next up is the homemade suit, and honestly, I get this one on its conceptual level. I like the boots. I think that the jacket and the mask and the gloves all coming together makes sense. I do like the fact that the hoodie itself has white to it, so it breaks up the palette of just black and red. It feels like it has some cohesion, but it does feel like a kid in his garage made it, so that's the point. It's just not that attractive. Next up is the Programmable Matter suit, and I actually like this one in gameplay. It doesn't look as weird, but because of the void I'm using to judge all of these so they have a fair shot in their critiques, it comes off a little weird. It's really good in like the Tinkerer fight, or even fighting Rexon, or the underground people, because of the contrasting colors in their design, and it's quite nice. It does match Miles' original palette. It's just, it looks like the Iron Spider suit if they added like a weird pixelated filter to it, and it's not a bad thing, it's just not as good as it could be. I feel like if they had made the actual like other parts of the metal suit more like a shiny metallic black rather than this weird silverish color, it could have been better, but as it stands, it's just kind of here. Next up is the winter suit, and I get what they were going for. It's a cute thing you get from a friend of Miles's in the story of the game, so it's not quite as detailed of a suit as it could be, not to mention the fact that it's just a scarf, hat, earmuffs, and leg warmers in a suit he's already wearing, so it doesn't really change much. It's a nice gesture, but it's not exactly what I like it as a gesture, but I'm not super happy with it as a suit by itself. Next up is the Sportswear Suit, and I know that I was giving shit to the homemade suit for being kind of weird, but this one has a little bit more cohesion. I think the fact that he has fingerless gloves is annoying, because fingerless gloves in this fucking weather would absolutely make me cold, but I kind of get it. Like, finger sweat is a weird thing you don't want to deal with, so avoiding it at all costs is a thing I appreciate. However, at the same time, the other parts of the suit do work really well, like the leggings and the shorts that match the shoes are a nice touch. I like that the jacket is a nice puffy, like winter jacket. You're not just like, it's not just a random thing. And the fact that, you know, it's just a jacket with a Spider-Man mask, that makes sense. He kind of made this on the fly to go out hang out with Peter while they're doing Spider-Man shit. It's a logical conclusion, and it's also a really smart one at the same time. Next up is the Uptown Pride suit, and this is just his base suit, but with the red inverted to be yellow, which isn't a bad thing given, you know, his hometown pride and the heritage that comes with it. It almost reminds me of Luke Cage in a way, which I think that might have been the point. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a big comic reader, so if this is flying over my head, I apologize. But I do like black and yellow as a concept. It is very nice to look at. The metallicness of it all is a nice touch. But if it were like a different shade of yellow, maybe like a darker shade, it might have been better. I don't know. It's not terrible. We're getting to the point where these are starting to be really, really good actually, but we're not at the best yet. So I'm trying to like nitpick to make my choices make sense. Next up is the Spider Training Suit. And I know I've put this one above other ones, but I don't know, something about a teenager in a Spider-Man suit kicking ass is fucking hilarious to me. I have no other words to say it. It's just funny how it's this random ass of an idea. It's just jeans, sneakers, a jacket, and a mask, and that's it. And it's just, it doesn't have to make sense, but it's just funny to me. Next up is the tracksuit, and this one is right where we're starting to get to the really good ones in my mind, where we've added white to a majority of the outfit, and we've also added a lot more red undertones so that the accents of everything stand out in contrast. It's not majority black, so it's a little bit more visually catching. I will say that I wish the black was a little bit more like on the front of his leg too, because as it stands, it kind of feels like a Spider-Gwen outfit, which isn't bad. I love Spider-Gwen, but something about the way this looks is an improvement upon the things we've seen before, but it's not as good as it could be. Next up is the Crimson Claw suit, and this is what I like to see when I see Spider-Man suits and even Batman or Superman suits. It's stuff that takes the concept of, or the base color palette of something and moves it around a little bit. There's a lot more red here, so it stands out as a more visually striking outfit than some of the other ones we've seen, and it can come off as a bit more interesting. It almost has like a nice Magneto vibe with the helmets, or the hoodie I should say. I do like how it doesn't try to replicate the fingers where everything is black up until the fingers itself with his boots, where, you know, they could have just done like black all the way down till they get to like a red tip or vice versa. It's not super complicated, but it's interesting nonetheless. Next up is the Purple Rain suit, and is that a weird name or is that me? I don't know. So purple and green are a very good color scheme in general, but also for the month of spooks, because duh. It also reflects the Prowler, which is his uncle, which has a lot more prevalence to it in the character and the story of everything. The claws are a nice touch because that's also part of the Prowler's outfit. This is a suit that relies on the knowledge of who the Prowler is, which the story gives you by virtue of being, you know, a Miles Morales game. So you're kind of aware of who the Prowler is, and so having a suit based on him for Miles to wear is kind of cool, especially if you get the suit before their like big boss fight moment. It's super cool and super interesting because then it's like a Robin Slade moment, if you get my meaning. So yeah, good all around concept for a character, but it's in the shadow of a previous character, so that's why it kind of isn't higher up. Next up is the Brooklyn Visions Academy suit. I'm not gonna lie, this one's just nice for the novelty of a kid in a Spider-Man outfit with a varsity jacket and a backpack kicking ass. Something about adding mundane shit to a superhero costume is hilarious to me, so it gets a lot of novelty points. Oh, he's also got the headphones, which is very important for Miles as a person, because music is like a relaxing thing for him, so it makes sense. Not much to add here. Oh, he's also got sneakers on. I just realized he had sneakers on. So it's not so different from the spider training, and it's not that different from his base outfit, but it adds a little bit of personality, a little bit more Miles to the whole thing, so that you're never going to be like, oh, he's just a different Spider-Man, he's Miles. Next up is the Bodega Cat suit, and much like the last one, adding a simply weird detail to the whole thing, that being changing the varsity jacket to a sweater and adding a cat in the backpack with a fucking Spider-Man. Oh my god, the Bodega Cat outfit's hilarious, because you can't unlock this one until you beat the game, because the game just won't let you. I don't know why, but it's fucking adorable. Like, if I were to pick like 2 or 3 suits to go through the game with again, this one would be one of them, because like, seeing this cat freak the fuck out when you're in the middle of combat is just, oh, it's so cute. This whole suit, and like, the game was clearly not designed to have this suit be a thing, like in normal combat or normal cutscenes, so the bag will just clip through shit, and that's just always fun to see. Next up is the animated suit. And I know that last time for Peter, I gave the winning suit to be the Spider Clan suit, which is the exact same thing as this one, the animated suit. The difference is that that one was so random and so uniquely different from the other suits that it added the warranty of it being animated. This one will also have the same like color shaded effect, like the cell shading, that the Spider Clan suit had. It doesn't really do anything else with it. It's just Miles's normal outfit, but cell shaded. So while cool, it doesn't really add a whole lot. Next up is the Miles Morales 2099 suit, and clearly the same kind of thing happened with what they did with Miguel, or whatever the Spider-Man of 2099's name is. Very big patriotic feels. It almost feels like the Spider-Man PS4 suit in a way as well. You've got the blue, the red, the white, everything kind of goes together. It almost feels like a tracksuit in a way, which isn't a bad thing. It's just a different kind of vibe that I wouldn't expect from Miles. And that actually puts it quite away. It's not just the same thing over and over again. It's different. It's still 2099, but it's not boring. Next is the Into the Spiderverse suit, and this one gets on here because it's It is based on a movie suit, I'm not saying it isn't, but something about the way this one doesn't have the red accents and the fact that you can see that they wanted to add definition to his shoulders by having the spray paint only go down from like the end of his shoulder down, and like he purposefully didn't do his hands or the bottoms of his feet. And I just think that's really cool. Like, there's a lot of interesting things. Oh, and the mask has that nice red outline rather than the black outline. So, and again, I know this is from the movie, and so it shouldn't be up this high, but there's something about how this one's different from even this game's suit and also the animated suit that puts it above most of the ones we've seen, especially the animated suit, because it's a nice blend between the Peter suit he gave him and the one that he ends up making in this game by himself. Even if it's just the spray paint aesthetic, it's still a cool idea because it's uniquely Miles, and especially that version of Miles. Next up is the End suit. This one fucking slaps. I love the combat boots. I love the cargo pants of black, red, and like a dark crimson, like and a dark navy blue almost. I love the weird Letterman jacket with the crisscross like spiderweb design. I love the fact that the gloves look more leather based than they are like whatever material he usually uses. It's cool because it takes the same kind of overall color palette and concept of Miles and applies it to a more militaristic idea that a lot of his other suits don't have. This is one of the more unique ones in the game. It's not number one because it's a little bulky for me, and I feel like, especially with those kind of jackets, because I've worn those jackets, like it's kind of hard to like raise your arm up that well in that kind of jacket, so it would get stuck easily, and that would make combat much harder. It limits your movements. So in a weird way, it's up here for design, but it's down lower than it could be because of its usability in combat. Next up is the classic suit. This is the one that Miles makes in the game himself. I think it might be this one or the next one, I'm not entirely sure. Either way, this one is basically the same thing as the Into the Spiderverse suit, but it's more defined. So the fingers are only red into the glove itself, but the glove has like the in-between webbing be black. I like how the shoulder pad is a sleek line. It's not spray painted on. It's actually like an armor piece, and it flows into the back of the spider really well. I like, again, the red accents on the face mask that only go down to his chest where the rest of it is black. I feel like that's a very good way to do that. It adds a bit of color so that you're focused on his face, but the rest of it isn't super distracting and overly designed, kind of like some of the suits in the original Spider-Man were, where they were very much like, hey, here's the Sam Raimi suit, here's the old comic booky suit, here's a random one that doesn't really make sense and the detail kind of hurts my eyes. Stuff like that. It's small things like that that add a lot of flavor to Miles while also making him more readable on the page and on the screen. Next up is the Miles Morales 2828 suit. This one gives me very much Superboy from the future. I love the weird electronic face to it. I absolutely love the shoes. I love the weird jacket with it. It doesn't make sense a lot of the time. Like, everything is cohesively the two colors he has, but I think the shoes could be a little bit better. I love them. They're very much like, I'm gonna go like punch someone in the face. I gotta go run somewhere, and you know, they're good for keeping your ground because they have like really nice rubber soles in them. I like the weird Letterman jacket. I like how it's like grungy. It's a good outfit. It's the second one for a reason. It's just not. Oh, I do like how like the fingers look like they're made of gel. Like, he doesn't actually have a hand, so like the prosthetic he has is just like a leather glove with a prosthetic hand. I don't know why, but that's a really cool detail. This one at first glance has a lot more going for it, but it was just slightly beaten out by our winner, the Advanced suit. This is basically the same thing as the last one, but it has a lot more intricate details. So like, there's more Kevlar, there's more padding in the suit to keep him from getting damaged a lot more. The hand having a more metallic feel to it so that when you punch someone, it has more of a kick to it. I love the, I'm going to assume there's like an elastic glove part underneath the metal lattice part they've got on his hand, which makes it so that, you know, he can hit things and move around and like bend his hand, and it's not just like stuck, because, you know, a lot of old armor pieces and old metal hand coverings were designed to keep your hand safe, but they didn't really have a lot of ways to do that outside of like just making it chainmail, which was heavy as shit, so they opted for like a one-piece thing to keep your hand together. But this is a good way to incorporate that kind of like, I need to still fight something, but I can keep my hand protected as an alternative to just a singular piece of metal or a piece of cloth. It kind of incorporates both. I also like how the red on the arm and the shoulder connects, but they're not like one solid piece. There's parts that split off, there's little like lines through it, so it bleeds into everything else and it allows him to move better. Those lines are not just decorative, they're meant to be you know, little bits of fabric in between so that the suit can breathe and expand and contrast with his body and the weather and all he's doing. It's not just simply a one-size-fit-all thing. It's very much designed to be a combat suit first. I also do like how the shoes have this little like heel thing going on. That's not actually a heel, but the way it's designed looks like he's wearing like platform heels for some reason, like platform shoes, and that's kind of funny. Also, the webbing on the face is really, really good. It has a different colorization. It's mostly black, but the lines themselves are like a wine red, which really adds a lot when compared to the other suits we've seen so far. And that's why it's the winner. It's just really fucking good. Alright everyone, that was the ranking. I hope I did the newer Spider-Man well. I liked looking through his outfits a lot better. They were a lot more interesting to sift through and find the best and the worst than Peter's were, because Peter's were so numerous and so vastly different that it made things harder. Miles's were more similar, so it was more just coming down to what did what aspect better. And I think that's just the mark of a good character, when they can take a base color palette and work out from there. It's kind of like Sondheim and his music, but I'll be rambling on about that for hours. So before I do that, as always, my name is Chris. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do what you do. Make sure you have a fractastic day, and I'll see you guys next time.